Hi, I'm Gaby Hafner and I'm a content creator here in Paris, and this is my Paris story. How did you move to Paris? And now I've been in Paris for only a little over a year, but I've actually been in France for much longer. I've been in France for almost 9 years now. And how I first came over to France was actually as a teaching assistant. So I was teaching English in a French high school in kind of the middle of nowhere, France. I was really in the center in Clermont-Ferrand. After Clermont-Ferrand, I actually moved to the south of France, and I was living there for many years until recently came up to Paris. And for me, it really made a lot of sense for work. I really love Paris, so I think it was very natural for me to be able to share about what was going on in Paris and decide to come here. So I've been at French Citizen actually since just a little over a year. I was able to apply after 4 years, and I could have done so earlier, but I really wanted to make sure that my dossier was strong. You're able to actually apply for citizenship if you have done 2 years of superior studies, so basically anything after high school. One thing that was really great was I actually was working for the French government. I did the CAPES, which is a sort of contest in order to become a French teacher within the French system, and so I did all of that and I actually became a government employee. With that, with my whole dossier set, I gave everything to the prefecture and said I would like to be a French citizen. However, when I gave it to them, it was actually in 2020, so it was the year of COVID. At the time, they were accepting things only physically, so nothing was online. So they would give you an entire list of many documents that you would need to bring to an appointment. You would bring every single document and then you would go and they would say, oh no, but you need to bring these and these and these too. And you'd say, it's not on the list. And they're like, yeah, but you still need to bring them. And I was like, why wouldn't they just tell you that at first? Everything was just kind of a little bit of a jumble. So I did not hear anything back from them for 3 years. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know if they lost my documents, nothing. But I just kind of left it. I was like, whatever. One day out of the blue, I got an email asking me to come in for my interview. I went in for the interview and thank God everything went well. And I was like, okay, it's only that I've waited 3 years to find out about even this, and I don't want to be waiting 3 years, you know, with no information, or if I am, I want to be prepared. And she said, no, it won't be 3 years. And I was like, okay, like 6 months? She's like, I don't know, I can't tell you. So I did my interview, I think it was in January. In June, I actually received in the mail my carte électorale, which is the little thing that allows me to vote in a French election. So I took it to my French boyfriend and I was like, if I got this, doesn't this mean I'm French? And he's like, yes, absolutely. So I wrote to the prefecture and I said, hey, I got this in the mail. Does this mean I'm French? And they're like, oh yes, you've been French since April. And you should have received something, and I hadn't received anything. I didn't receive something in, you know, by email, by mail, nothing. In France, they publish your name in the Journal Officiel, I think is what it's called, and so that was really all I had. I didn't ever get something that told me I was French. I just had that thing that I printed off, and then I was able to take that and get my passport and everything. It was very underwhelming, kind of the whole thing, but I was very excited, and yeah, so that was kind of that. Let's see, do you have a favorite spot in Paris? One of my favorite museums in Paris is the Orsay. I just think it's so beautiful, so manageable. I love all the Impressionist paintings. I, for a really long time, didn't like the Louvre, and I've only recently discovered it in a way that I understand it better and it's more exciting, but my favorite is still the Orsay. Is Paris easy to navigate? I don't think it's the most difficult to navigate, honestly. I just don't think it's so big compared to other large cities, and I think that the metro system connects everything really well. I come from Virginia. Mostly we're doing everything by car. Something that I really love about Paris is the fact that I can get everywhere by metro or foot or bike, though I actually personally don't bike. To me, it's felt a lot more freeing because I don't really like being in the car, and I also don't really like driving. Ooh, what was your viral French moment? I've had several, but one that sticks out to me because I just think it's so funny. I will sometimes do videos of myself where I'm speaking French and it's, you know, a real life French interaction. And one that went really viral was me going to the dentist. And so I was actually just speaking to my dentist, and I think people thought it was really funny too because I was really smiley. One of the most frequent comments I get will be about me smiling, which is just for me really natural, but I know to a French person it probably probably looks a bit weird. I got actually a lot of comments from French people being kind of annoyed of like, how did this girl get an appointment at the dentist's office? I thought it was kind of hilarious that going to the dentist was one of the things that really stood out to people. What gave you culture shock? If the French person seems neutral, they're really gonna seem neutral, or to me it might seem a bit negative. Like, it's very... Coming from the US, people in general are just a bit more smiley. Smiling is sort of like a symbol of like, I come in peace, look, I'm friendly. Whereas here in France, they don't do that. And so that definitely was a big difference to me of like, oh, smiling isn't just seen as friendly. It could be seen even a little bit poorly sometimes. Coming to Paris too is the weather, absolutely. I always like to say that Paris must have one of the best marketing teams in the world. People don't realize how cold and rainy and gray it is most of the year here. That was really hard for me because even though I grew up in somewhere like Virginia where we really have 4 seasons, and in the winter we have so many days where it's beautiful blue skies and sunny, and it might be really freezing outside but you're still getting the sunshine. And so here, not having that was really difficult for me, and I've kind of learned my lesson after my first full year in Paris that I need to go somewhere where it's sunny during the winter just to kind of boost, I think, my vitamin D levels. What's a big no-no in France? The very first thing that comes to mind to me is not saying bonjour, and I'm actually ashamed to say that, but it took me years to understand that because when I first came to France, like, social media wasn't as big a thing, and so I didn't have references of videos of people saying, well, you have to say bonjour when you go into stores. I would just kind of go in, and if someone said something to me, of course I would say it back. Merci, au revoir. I wasn't used to that. And at the same time, if someone said like, how are you doing? I would know the codes in an American context, but in a French one, I just was at a loss for what are those codes, and I don't want to come across as rude, but I think I probably did for a long time, so. What's a stigma American people feel in France? I did have an experience actually once in the South. They made a comment about the US and Americans, and the person said this comment to me because they knew I was Venezuelan too. Being bicultural, I can fit into different molds, I guess. This person, I think, felt comfortable saying those things that were quite negative about the US to me, and I got really offended. I was like, what? That's not fair. You know, not all Americans are like this. It can just feel a bit icky when you feel like you're having to battle something which is maybe sometimes true, but not always true, and someone may be forming an impression of you before they've even really gotten to know you. Everyone all over the world, when they go to a new place, can face some of that, and it's just really a bit of cultural misunderstanding. How long did it take you to learn French? I learned French as an adult. Because I grew up speaking English and Spanish, I think I had a base that not everyone has. And so I did a program called Assimil. It's just a booklet and an audio thing. I practiced every single day for about 3 months before coming to France, and I had never spoken with a French person in my life. When I got here, I was actually able to communicate. It was basic stuff at first, but I felt really excited that, you know, basic communication was getting through. I would say it was, you know, a long process from there, you know, of a few years before I felt really confident, and especially my first full year in France. I was surrounded by a lot of Anglophones because I was doing a teaching English program, but I still got to practice in, for example, finding myself my own apartment, which was very difficult, and it was, for me, a massive feat being able to do that in French. I remember calling on the phone to set up my electricity and literally crying from joy afterwards because it had worked. And I was like, oh my God, like, I'm gonna have electricity. I do think there are probably little moments that kind of mark like, oh, I'm feeling more comfortable in the language. And it can be something as simple as ordering a baguette at the bakery, like feeling like you've done that successfully, no one's switched over in English with you. I think that's a really big one that I found, especially at the beginning, is that people would always switch into English. How is my French now compared to when I first moved? I would say it is light years better, thank God. My French when I first got here was really pretty abominable. I think I was using a mix of things that I knew in Spanish and even Italian just to try and get things past. Now I feel really confident in the language. I don't really think about it. Like, to say something, I just say it for the most part. But no, I think thankfully it's a lot better. What's the most helpful advice you received in French? I had such a hard time actually hearing the difference between 2 sounds in the French language. Poule, which is like a chicken, and poule. I'm probably still saying it poorly, but that would be like a sweater. I couldn't hear the difference between those two. And they would repeat it over and over, and I said, those are the same words. I don't understand, you know, the difference. And so someone I remember told me that to make that very kind of particular U sound that we don't have in English, you are supposed to basically make like an E sound, like E, but you pucker your lips. So it's like E, E. When I think of that, it helps me a bit, like poule, pull. I think I did it well there, but what's the most confusing thing about the French language? I just thought it was really baffling at first trying to read things and seeing that there were so many letters that were not pronounced at all. Why is the letter even there? Like, what's the purpose? And I really couldn't understand it. To be totally honest, I still don't really get it. It's one of these things where I've memorized it. I'm like, oh yeah, that you don't pay attention to that. You don't pronounce that. I don't know, but I think that's probably confusing. Why would you recommend learning French to people? If you really love French culture, learning the language is one of the best ways to really understand the French people, I think. I don't think I really had any notion of what the French were like truly until I was able to speak with them and just, I think, understand cultural things and things that were important to them and things that were not. The French are so proud of their language too, so that when you speak to them in their language, you're connecting with them in a way that you just wouldn't be able to do otherwise. It's showing that you have respect for something that's really important and sacred to them. So I would say learn it so that you can connect with French people even better. If you're coming to Paris and it's one of the first times, or even if it's not, one of my favorite places to walk through, right when you're starting at the Louvre, you have the pyramid, you have the Louvre behind you, and then ahead of you, you have this beautiful arc. You can go through that, continue walking, and you go through the Jardin des Tuileries, which is just, again, so beautiful, so iconic. You go all the way down, and then you have Place de la Concorde. That is so beautiful too. I think it's just incredible to see like the obelisk there. If you continue going, then you can even get to the Arc de Triomphe, and so Champs-Élysées and all of that. And I think it's kind of amazing that so many of the highlights of Paris are in this one kind of row. So I would say that if you're visiting, that's absolutely one thing to do, because you'll get this really kind of iconic, emblematic view of Paris. I'm Gaby Hafner, and this is my Paris story with Street French. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you soon.